So this is now the dinosaur tree and how it's going and everything. First about watering it. This is a tree now that's 3 meters and 10 tall. Plus it's got suckers, 25 suckers on it. Plus some of the suckers are 2 meters. 2 of them are around 2 meters. The one down there, the one from there is going like that, going like that, going like that, going like that, that, and there it is, and there are its flowers. It's got those starting on the sucker, and it's got those that are already on the way. So that's one sucker is like 1.5 meters maybe. Then there is that one that starts right here. There I cut off just the leaves so that the sucker gets more energy and everything, but that was like the only one I cut off, and it goes up like that all the way up there. So that's over 2 meters one sucker. So with the suckers it's got like 7 meters already, and all the suckers on this tree are on it. Maybe 1 leaf or 2 were cut off during its all of its time that it was growing and everything. So the suckers on it are like 24, some bigger, some smaller and everything. And the first fruit that people can see right there is actually on a sucker. And there it is. That green without a flower, that's actually the tomato right there. Can't really get to it, but there it is. People can see it. The green right there, that's the tomato growing. There's 2 of them on it, and that sucker is about 1.5 meters, 20-30, so to speak. So, and about watering a plant like this, I thought to point that out now. I watered this with the dinosaur tree. I watered the richest, bestest in this whole room, in this whole area. And when I water it, I wait to see down there when I see it's wet. And when I see it's wet, then I know it's enough. So that's how one waters this in a pot. About 5 liters went in when I watered it last time into this one plant. 5 liters of water with all the high rich stuff like eggs and tomatoes and the greens from the trees, from those trees and everything. So this is actually the best tree here, best done in this whole room. So, but that's that one knows. I go like 2 liters, then I go 2 more liters with all the stuff in it, which is from the other stuff that I put in, and I just wait to see when it's wet down there, like right there. That's what people can see, because there I put a little bit too much. So last time I watered it, but that's because there's a lot of tomatoes growing, but it was a little bit too much, like half a liter too much. So, but that's just so people know. One goes 1 liter, 2, 3, 4, and just as soon as he sees down there it's wet, that means it's enough. No more water is needed. That means the water went through the whole pot, and that's enough. So, because these types of big plants, people don't really know maybe how to water it and everything, but that's a safe way to know. But another way to do it is just to fill this to the top right there. You fill this to the top, and that's probably enough. You know, an easy way to know. But that still depends on how big the plant in it is actually, because this is a very big plant, and it's now 3 meters thin. Now the Guinness World Book of Records, one man in the United States, an old person, some time ago, he was an expert and everything. He won the Guinness Book World of Records. His tomatoes plants were sort of like well, they were sort of like 4.5 up to 5 meters, and he was in the Guinness Book World of Records for that. So this is now 310 right there, but with all the suckers on it, because that makes it even bigger then. and it has like a meter and 10, 20 to here. But I will extend that to go even back. I'll just cut that one and extend it so that it goes all the way to here. I'll just put another one of these sticks and make it go. So from there, it'll go to here as long as it can. So as long as it can. So, and there is room here for like maybe 5 more meters from there can fit and everything. So 4 to 5 meters. So now it's 3 plus 4, that's 7. Plus in the summer I can take it outside, and then the terrace is very, very big. It can go even more and more. The terrace right there, it is like, it has 60 square meters, just the terrace. All the way to down there, if I needed, it could go the dinosaur tree and everything on the ceiling and everything going and so on. So, but that's in the summer when it's hot enough to put it outside, if I do and everything, which I plan to. All the plants during the summer I plan to put them outside and everything, of course. And but that's to point out right there, there is another tomato on it. So there's 2 of them right now, and there it is, but it's hard to see. It's in there, but it's very small. But that's a tomato too. So there is 2 tomatoes right there. That one is very little, but it's growing a lot slower than that one there. The one here like doubled in size maybe in a day. In one day it doubled in size right there. And I saw it's a tomato and everything. And there it is. People can see inside it's a tomato and everything. It was hard to see from the greens, but there it is. So that's the first tomato on the dinosaur tree. Really is that one right there, growing nicely and everything. And that right there is the second one on the tree. But this one is growing a lot less and slower, because it's about 3 meters to it. And that was the physics. I did calculations from there all the way to this tomato here. There's about 3 meters that the atoms have to travel. So plus they go in 100 different ways throughout all the trees, so just to reach that spot there. So, and that's why that is growing slower and everything. But usually the trees concentrate a lot more energy on the top, so that the tree goes more and more and more and more and everything. But since there are so many flowers and so many suckers, the atoms are going all over the place. So then people can understand why it would need 5 liters of water maybe every 5 days and so on. But that's just to point that out. And that, the dinosaur tree right there, I plan it to go naturally as big as it can grow. So I can even during the summer put it on the terrace, and it will go all the way down if it can. All the way down to the end of the terrace. Here there's maybe even 10 meters and so from the start to finish. So it can go that much if it's gonna grow that much, I mean. So, and so the dinosaur tree is doing great. The one problem that I had there, I left it open so that the plants get used to the outside temperature and everything. But there it cracked, but just a little bit and so on. But the plant is still alive and kicking and everything, so it's okay. That was one crack because I left it open, but the wind suddenly became strong and knocked it over, that top part. So it's a little crack, but it's no big deal. It's gonna survive and everything. This tomato is growing, therefore it's okay, and the flowers are growing and everything. And there is another one being fertilized right there, so it's going okay. The other flower, the other tomato plant is the second one right there. It now has 12 tomatoes on it, and people can now see how much bigger they got since the last video a few days ago. Those are the 3 biggest one on the plant. They're very green, very good and everything. And that, what I didn't point out, this tomato now right there, That tomato is actually honey, eggs, and greens, maybe even greens from a cactus and everything, but enriched 2 times, 3 times already, you know. So that's the big deal, you know, because all these greens that were cut off from this tree, they all went back into the trees. None of that was thrown away or something. They all went back into the trees, and they get like recycled in the blenders 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, and then all of them are getting richer and richer and richer and so on. That right there plant is doing like beautifully green, and everything is like very beautifully green and giving flowers, because that's now very high and enriched atoms in it. The flowers are right there, 4 flowers starting to form. 4 flowers are starting to form and are fertilizing, so to become a tomato. And even the shape of it was very weird. It fell down, but it didn't break. It was knocked down, but then I put it back up to go up, so now it's shaped like totally, sort of like an S shape. It's going, but it's still going great, very, very green and everything. And I thought not to cut away anything from it. I cut away maybe 2 branches of leaves, and that was it. All the suckers are growing on it too as well and everything, so it too is going very, very well. So now this plant right here, people can see these are the 2 tomatoes down here, but they started later than the ones up there, but they too are growing very, very good and everything. So that's 2 of them right there, 3 right here, and 3 big ones are right there. So in total it has like 12 tomatoes on it, this one, which are enriched with now high things. But let's say honey, the plant was watered with honey, but that honey became the leaves 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and now from them the fruits are being made, but with other things added and everything. But for some reason this one, none of them started. I fertilized these the same, just like all the others and everything, but these are totally dying right there, so I don't know, on the same tree. But these right here are doing very, very well. So that I didn't figure out why, but that's happening. But just so people know, when you cut away from an enriched tree, if people do it this way, like I explained and everything, you never throw away any of the greens. The greens you just recycle in the blender, and then your plant is getting richer and better and everything. And then in the end, when you're cutting things away, then that's what you make the fruits out of, and so on. So because these are greens that are made out of honey, eggs, and some meats and everything and so on. Although meat, I recently started just some tuna fish and everything, which I mentioned and everything in the parts about tuna and everything. But because I thought to do that when the fruit comes, not in the tree itself. But some of those things I thought to point out right there. Now the color of the leaves. Now people can see right here. This is like the color of the third plant. Now the dark spots right there that people can see, that is actually meat, something greasy in the plant. But I realized maybe it's not that good for the plant. But that's something like you can get it from fish, you can get it from things and everything. That's like meat, but when meat becomes a plant too much, then it changes color totally. But people can tell right there, that dark spot right there, that's meat actually. So that's why it's dark. I especially follow all the things and everything. And the lines people can see right here are like very, very dark. People can see the color of the lines. They're like very, very dark, and that's actually from where the leaves start to grow, like people can see right there. So these lines that one sees, that's from where the leaves grow. The atoms come from the roots through the branches, and then they follow these lines. And as they follow these lines, the leaf grows and everything and so on. So plus these lines are there to pick up photons when sunlight hits it, and then photons go into the plant and into the fruit. So these lines in a tree in the quantum realm is like a city or something, where there is trillions of atoms, photons, hydrogen, water molecules flying from one place to the next, and they're moving all into the fruit, into the plant, and it's growing and everything. But actually in the quantum realm, these lines, they are actually highways. Like in a city when we have rush hour highways, you know, and there is thousands of cars going one next to the other. Well, that's how atoms and molecules and photons go on these highways and everything. And then they go into the tree and so on. And of course, we can just see some of them. But down in the quantum realm, there is a lot more of them and everything. Now, so those are those right there which are darker. Now, when I move up, people can see there the leaves are totally green. Now, these here are like totally darker also. That too is from the meat that I added. But then I thought not to do it, or to do it just a little bit and so on. So there it is. It sort of immediately changes the color of the plant. And just like I said in earlier equations, temperature equals mass times the color one gets. So if meat comes into the plant, it is a totally different atom. It has different chemistry in it and everything, and then the color changes totally. Okay, that equation doesn't really apply there, but the change of color comes from the atoms themselves. That is the big, huge, important thing to know. This now here is like extremely rich on top. This looks like it's in a tropical rainforest. This plant, like it's very great looking, beautifully green, big leaves and everything, which is a tomato plant. But these leaves, for some reason, because I water them with a lot of greens from my plants, the suckers are growing very fast and everything. There are the flowers right there going nicely, 4 of them, which are fertilized. You can see the flowers are sort of bending already. That means it's fertilized and it's gonna give fruit soon. But this plant is like very beautifully going and everything. And those are the habaneros down there, also growing nicely. I did a big problem with them. I put honey there before, but for small plants, I should point that out, for small plants that's not a good idea at all, because the roots are too small and the honey clogs them up fast. So when the plants are small like that, nobody should do that. And honey should not be put into them at all. So none. But them I water just with the greens from my plants, because I'm making them even more enriched than these plants and everything. So, and I did a little research. The habaneros are actually from the Amazon. They originate. And then I thought to duplicate that, but the Amazon has got like thousands and thousands of plants, thousands of fish, thousands of animals, and thousands, millions, billions of different atoms going around. So it's gonna be a little bit tougher to duplicate than to do actually. And then that says that in the Amazon there is like thousands of different habaneros growing, but thousands of different animals actually eat them. I mean, different from the point of view that what they're made of, which atoms and so on. But many of these habaneros will all be different things. Some will be desert versions, some will be Amazon versions, and so on. And but all these trees are doing very, very well. On this one now there is 12 tomatoes growing, and these are the biggest ones so far. They double in a few days, so they're growing very, very well. And in them, these three, now I pour about 4 to 5 liters. This one less because it has a lot less greens, but it has tomatoes now growing, 12 of them on the tree, and a lot more flowers are fertilized, like one right there, which is also now a tomato. So they're growing nicely and everything, so it's going well. So that did work out, like the farmers told. I mean, I was looking what the people on YouTube say about that. They say cut off the suckers, cut off the suckers. But on this one, in the middle plant, I cut off the suckers so that I get the fruit faster. And there it is. There is 12 now tomatoes on this plant. But there is flowers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 flowers on it. On this one there is 70 flowers. I mean 6 times, 6 branches of flowers, sorry. On this one there is like 5 times more and everything. But that is actually how much faster they did. The tomato right there starting, it's that size. The ones right there are that size. So then I understood and realized that I can make a whole plant with all the suckers on it and all the tomatoes on it, just if I water it with the highest enriched stuff, like I explained and everything. So, but to get fruit faster, that's not such a bad idea. A person cuts off the suckers and then he gets fruit faster. But this plant is too growing as much as it can, and it's extending almost, it's about 3 meters tall right now with suckers now that I left later. It just has less suckers. It has about 5 of them on it, 4 of them exactly, plus those 2 down there, which is 7. But those didn't give any fruit yet or like that. So that one too is doing okay and everything, and it's gonna grow as big as it's just as big as the dinosaur tree I planted, but the dinosaur tree still has tons, 5 times more flowers and possible tomatoes on it than that one. So